My friends are watching me do this video, by the way. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Big Scribe. This is Big Scribe Books. Today, I'm going to talk about my top 10 reading list. This is my favorite books, my favorite series. This has been a list in the making for years. I started reading some of these in high school and fell in love with them instantly. First on the list is The Count of Monte Cristo. This is a book written by Alexander Dumas, and it's written in the late 1800s. This takes place around the time of, Napoleon. The story is about a young man named Edmond Dantes. And Edmond is betrayed and falsely sent to prison and is in prison for like 14 years. And he ends up getting out and finds this treasure on this island called Monte Cristo. And the story skips in the narrative to a new character who calls himself the Count of Monte Cristo, who slowly goes about bringing about these horrible circumstances to the three men that betrayed Edmund. And I won't tell you how it ends, but it's pretty ingenious. The story is amazing. It is my #1 favorite book, and I highly suggest it. It's The Count of Monte Cristo. Number 2 on my list is the House of Night series by P.C. Cast and Kristin Cast. I don't know if you guys have ever read this series, but it's truly magical. You fall in love with the characters, and you literally feel like you're a part of their lives. And who can't love Stevie Ray? I mean, Stevie Ray is the coolest character in the whole series to me. But hopefully you guys will check that out. Maximum Ride is my next favorite. It's by James Patterson. A lot of people don't like Maximum Ride because it's like a 50-year-old dude writing from the perspective of a 14-year-old girl. But it's actually a pretty decent series. It's all about this group of kids who call themselves the Flock. They have part human, part bird DNA, and they all have these powers that they use to basically save the world because there's a group of evil scientists who literally want to destroy the entire world and bring nature back to where it belongs. Next on the list is another series by James Patterson called Witch and Wizard. This is about a brother and sister who literally have to face down multiple super bad guys that want to take over their world. It kind of takes place in our world, but it's more like an alternate version of our world. It's a little weird, but I have my theory on the Maximum Ride and Witch and Wizard books actually existing in the same universe, but I'll talk about that in another video. Next on my list is Rick Yancey's The Fifth Wave series. This series just recently ended. He just recently brought out his last book in the series, The Last Star. What it's about is basically an alien apocalypse. Aliens come, they take out our power, they start killing people with viruses, all kinds of horrible stuff happens. But then they start turning humans against humans. And that's what the whole point of the series is. And it's all from the perspective of this girl named Cassie who is trying to save her little brother and the man she loves. Next is a book by Richelle Mead, who you guys may know did the Vampire Academy series. I didn't put the Vampire Academy on this list just because it's an okay series, but it's not one of my favorites. I preferred the spinoff of it, Bloodlines. Thought it was amazing. But still, that didn't even make it to my list. But her book, The Glittering Court, actually made it to my list. The Glittering Court was amazing. And they're going to come out with a sequel to it, and then they're going to have a third book. But it's not going to tell a continuing story. It's basically telling the same story, but from 3 different perspectives. Because if you read The Glittering Court, you find out there's 3 different girls in the story. And the next one tells the story from the girl from Smyrnica that she meets along the way. The Glittering Court is basically about this finishing school that girls who are from poor areas of the kingdom go and they learn how to be like nobility. And they go to the new world that's basically kind of like American colonies back in the day. They go there, and the rich men who have made their fortunes there in the New World, they go and they pick one of the girls and they marry them for a price. But this girl is basically grows up as nobility in the old country, but her family is starting to lose money. So her grandmother is going to force her to marry someone she doesn't love. She doesn't want to do that, so she devises a plan to pretend to be someone she's not to go to the glittering court. And of course, that just sets up this whole thing that happens between her family and the guy that she ends up falling in love with and everything. But it's an amazing story, and you'll love it. Sorry, my roommate decided to interrupt me in a video. Anyway, next on the series is one that I'm actually still reading, and I will talk about part of it here in a minute. It's called the Monstrumologist series by Rick Yancey, same guy that wrote the Fifth Wave series. The Monstrumologist series is amazing. It is so intelligently written. You visualize everything, and you really feel like you're in the mind of Will Henry. It's about this young man named Will Henry, who is basically an apprentice for this man who calls himself the Monstrumologist. There's multiple monstrumologists throughout the world, and they have their own society that's basically this scientific society that studies literal monsters. And like the first book is about these creatures that have no heads, but they have mouths inside of their chests, and they have eyes on their shoulders and stuff. They're called anthropophagi, and it's insanely awesome. But of course, Will Henry always gets himself into the situations where he's going to die. Like every book, you just have these moments where Will Henry does something insanely stupid and finds himself in a situation where if the doctor doesn't come rescue him, he's going to get brutally murdered by a creature. But I am currently on the third book. This is what I'm currently reading, and yeah, see my little Harry Potter bookmark? I love that bookmark. Anyway, this is the third book in the series, The Isle of Blood, and it's awesome. Like, literally, I won't tell you who, but they literally just found one of their friends dead in a hotel room. Kind of broke my heart, because I like the character, but that's what happens when you read a book series. Thank you, J.K. Rowling. And, George R. R. Martin, I'd probably say is the king of murdering characters now. Anyway, next on my list is Soundless by Richelle Mead. This is the same one that wrote the Vampire Academy series and the Glittering Court. Soundless is basically an Asian fantasy fairy tale kind of story. It's about this village that's up on this mountain. They're all trapped there. They can't get off this mountain because the pass is blocked and everything, and the mountain side is too steep to climb down. They have this pulley system that goes from a village down in the valley up to them. Well, everybody in this village is deaf, and they can't hear at all. They've been deaf for generations and generations and generations. Well, they have a mine there where they mine these precious metals, and they send them down to the village in the valley, and the village in the valley sends them up food. Well, circumstances happen where they decide they want more food from this village, and they tell this village that, and the village tells them, well, we're not going to send you more food, and you're going to start sending us metals, or you're not going to get any food at all. So this brave girl wakes up one morning and can hear. And everybody in the village is starting to go blind, and she doesn't know why. So she goes on this adventure with a friend of hers to climb down the mountain and to seek out the man who runs the line so that she can try and talk to him and get some help. And the story totally does not go in the direction that you think it's going to go. It seems like a regular, real-life adventure story until the very end when it's like something from a fantasy world. And the ending was surprisingly beautiful. I loved it. I thought it was a great series. I rather enjoyed it. Next on my list is two books. It's 8030 and 8033 by Ted Dekker. I'm a Christian. I like reading Christian literature. Ted Dekker is an awesome Christian writer. He mostly writes like Christian thrillers and suspense kind of stuff. But 8030 and 8033 is the story of Jesus from an outsider's perspective. It's basically the story of the Saudi Arabian sheik's daughter who has to go all the way across the desert to Jerusalem to try and get King Herod's help because her father has been taken prisoner by this evil tribe. But when she gets there, one of her father's men that are with her wants to go meet this man that they call Yeshua. And when they meet him, her entire world changes, and he teaches her things that she never realized before. And it's all about finding out who you are in God and finding out where you stand and finding salvation and truth. It's such a beautiful series, and I enjoyed it, and it really brought me closer to God. Last on my list is another series by Ted Dekker. It's a trilogy called, I want to say he called it the Mortal Trilogy, or the Sovereign Trilogy, something like that. But it's based on one of the books. Forbidden, Mortal, and Sovereign are the three books. And they are so good. It's basically, the basic premise of the series is everyone in the world is dead. No one is actually alive. But there is this elixir, this blood, that when ingested, literally brings you to life. You feel emotion, you feel joy, you feel happiness, you see color. Like the whole world just wakes up for you. And basically it's about these people who are on a journey to find this young man whose blood can literally reawaken the entire world. And it is such a good trilogy, and you will rather enjoy it, I promise you. I will put all these books down in the description below with links to where you can buy them on Amazon. I highly suggest reading all of them because these books speak to your heart, they speak to your soul, and they make you think about things that you never even thought possible. Next, we're going to discuss my TBR, my to-be read list. I always keep a box of books on my table that I'm going to read. And right now, I'm running kind of low because I've been reading like crazy throughout the winter break from school. And I only have 3. First is a book by my friend Amanda's husband. I know Amanda through this group on Facebook called Nirvana. And her husband Gabriel wrote this book. And it's basically a paranormal version of Sherlock Holmes. And it's like a paranormal comedy kind of twist it's a paranormal comedy twist to Sherlock Holmes. Here, I'll read you the back. Sherlock Holmes is an unparalleled genius who uses the gifts of deduction and reason to solve the most vexing of crimes. Warlock Holmes, however, is not. He may be a font of arcane power, but frankly, he couldn't deduce his way out of a paper bag. The only things he's got going for him are the might of 1,000 demons, the spirit of Moriarty trapped in his head, and his stalwart companion, Dr. John Watson, who is always there to guide him through the treacherous shoals of Victorian propriety, and save him from a gruesome death every now and again. It looks amazing. My aunt checked it out before me, and her one suggestion was, if you get this, wait until you can get the next book that's about to come out called, I think it's called The Hellhound of the Baskervilles. Until you get that one, she said you might want to wait because she said the ending's going to leave you wanting more. And everybody I know that has read this has absolutely adored it, and they thought it was hilarious, and they thought it was amazing. I'm excited. This is the next book on my list, and I can't wait to read it. So if I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you to check out this book on Amazon. And if I can get Amanda or her husband to comment on it, I'm pretty sure they'll sign it if you buy it straight from them. So you can get a signed copy of it if you buy it from them. Next, after that, is the last book in the Monstrumologist series, The Final Descent. I'm not really sure what it's about yet because the descriptions on the back of these books are so vague every time that they don't properly explain the story. But I'll go ahead and read you back. Will Henry has been through more than seems possible for a boy of 16. He's been on the brink of death on more than one occasion and has gazed into hell, and hell has stared back at him and knows his face. But through it all, Dr. Warthrope has been at his side. When Dr. Warthrope fears that Will's loyalties may be shifting, he turns on Will with a fury, determined to reclaim his young apprentice's devotion. And so Will must face one of the most horrific creatures of his monstrumology career, and he must face it alone. Over the course of one day, Will's life and Eleanor Warthrope's destiny will lie in the balance. In the terrifying depths of the monstrumarium, they will face a monster more terrible than any they could have imagined, and their fates will be decided. It's short, especially when you see the other Monstrumologist books. This is very short, and that concerns me because I really love this series, and I'm sad that it's ending. So I don't know why it's so short, because it's literally only 310 pages, and this one's like 500 and something pages, so I don't know what the deal is. I really wish he would continue this series because it's such a good series, and I hope it ends well. The next one, my friend Matt suggested for me. I'm kind of excited to read it. I've not even seen the movie yet, so please don't spoil anything in the comments. The Isle of the Lost. It's the book that the movie The Descendants is based on, and I am really excited for it. And Matt is sitting over there in the corner, and he's thrilled that I mentioned him on YouTube. Yes, I have not seen the movie, and he was not aware of that. And I intend to see the movie, especially after I read this book. This is why I haven't seen the movie. I prefer to read the book before you see the movie, because books are always better than the movies.
So if they write a book about the Dogma Man, you go read it before you watch the Dogma Man?
Probably. I'll read you the jacket. As self-proclaimed ruler of the Isle, Maleficent has no tolerance for anything less than pure evil. She has little time for her subjects who have still not mastered life without magic. Her only concern is getting off the Isle of the Lost. At 16, Maleficent's daughter is the most talented young student at Dragon Hall, best known for her evil schemes, and when she hears about the search for the Dragon's Eye, Mal thinks this could be her chance to prove herself the cruelest of them all. Evie. Having been castle-schooled for years, Evil Queen's daughter Evie doesn't know the ins and outs of Dragon Hall, but she's a quick study, especially after she falls for one too many of Mal's little tricks. Jay. As the son of Jafar, Jay is a boy of many talents, stealing and lying to name a couple. Jay and Mal have been frenemies forever. He's not about to miss out on the quest for the Dragon's Eye. Carlos. Cruella de Vil's son may be the bravest, but he's certainly may not be the bravest, but he's certainly clever. Carlos's inventions may be the missing piece in locating the Dragon's Eye and ending their banishment for good. 20 years ago, all the evil villains were banished from the kingdom of Auradon to the from the kingdom of Auradon to the Isle of the Lost, a dark and dreary place protected by a force field that makes it impossible for them to leave. Stripped of their magical powers, the villains now live in total isolation, forgotten by the world. But hidden in the Forbidden Fortress is a Dragon's Eye, the key to true darkness and the villain's only hope of escape. Only the cleverest, evilest, nastiest villain can find it. Who will it be? In the quest for the Dragon's Eye, these kids are proof that just because you come from an evil tree doesn't mean Just because you come from an evil tree, being good ain't so bad. And I like the little thing on the back. It says, evil tree, bad apple. I'm kind of excited for this, and if I like it, I will read the sequel, Return to the Isle of the Lost. But yes, I promise I'll watch the movie in between them. I do know for a 100% fact that there is a sequel to the movie coming out this year. And I don't know if Matt knew about that, but in 2017 they are releasing The Descendants 2 on Disney Channel, so I think it's possibly going to be interesting. I haven't even seen the first one yet. I've seen the cartoons, but they don't make sense to me because I've never read the story. Anyway, I will go ahead and hold a contest. I'm trying to get some subscribers, so if you subscribe to my channel and you do a picture for me for my banner on YouTube, and if I choose your banner, I will send you a signed copy of Soundless by Richelle Mead. So go ahead and send me your pictures for my banner, and go ahead and hit that subscription button. Hopefully in the next couple days I'll have another video up. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet, but I do know I'm going to be focusing mainly on books and subscription boxes, stuff like that. Hopefully we can get an owl crate soon, because I've been thinking about trying that out. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.